Sasha enters the Quartermain nursery and panics when she discovers Daisy is missing. She hurries downstairs and checks the bassinet in the living room, but she is also not there. Sasha eventually finds Michael and informs him that Daisy has vanished despite her extensive search. She shouts, "Someone has taken our child." Brooklyn and Lulu's fight escalates at the boathouse. Lulu slaps Brooklyn for hurting her son in retaliation. She's tired of hearing people say she's changed when she's still the same scheming bitch. Brooklyn has no idea what Lulu's talking about. Lulu informs her that Danny found her file on Britt and showed it to Rocco. Brooklyn maintains Rocco was never supposed to see it, and she believes Lulu never lied to her children. Lulu claims she and Dante intended to tell him about Britt, but when she awoke, everything became tricky. Lulu shouts, "Rocco should have heard the truth from his parents." Brooklyn points out that this is hypocritical because she denied her the chance or choice to tell her son the truth. Lulu urges her not to try to claim the moral high ground, and that she should not have left that file out for Rocco to locate. Brooklyn yells, "I didn't." And it's not like she discovered a secret that no one knew about. Unlike Lulu, Brooklyn recalls, she broke into Martin's room and discovered information she had no right to. She tells Lulu to confront the reality. She has injured her own kid by keeping the truth from him. Lulu yells that she and Dante intended to inform him, but they didn't get the chance. Gio appears and yells at them to quit fighting over him. Lulu informs Gio that they are fighting over what Brooklyn done to his brother Rocco. Brooklyn claims she did nothing to Rocco. Lulu informs Gio what Brooklyn did in retaliation for her uncovering the truth about him. She tells Brooklyn that she'll never forgive her for using her son to harm her. Lulu storms off, and Brooklyn assures Gio that it is not true and that she did not mean to upset Rocco. Brooklyn explains everything to Gio, and he lashes out knowing how much suffering Rocco is in right now, and how much harder it will be for him because he is younger. Brooklyn claims she never intended for him to see it, so Gio questions why she dug up the past in the first place. Jason tells Rocco about another side of Britt at Lulu's. Jason arrives after being called by Rocco, who requests that he tell him what he knows about Britt. Rocco updates him on the file he and Danny discovered. Jason claims he wasn't in town at the incident. According to Rocco, Danny claimed he and Britt were friends and searched her up online. The feedback on Britt was mixed, ranging from positive to negative. He wants to find out who Britt was. Jason tells Rocco about his friendship with Britt, and although he believes she has improved, others may disagree. Rocco can't be furious with Britt because he wouldn't have been born otherwise. Jason claims Britt didn't tell him much about her background because she was humiliated, but she did tell him that having Rocco and falling in love with him surprised her. She knew what she did was wrong, but she loved him, and giving him up was difficult for her. He believes that if she were still alive, she would be impressed with who Rocco has become. Rocco thanks Jason for the conversation and bids him farewell. Outside, Lulu approaches Jason and inquires as to why he is there. Sidwell stokes Marco's anger at Windmere. Marco blames himself for his mother's passing. Marco claims Natalia went on and on about the wonderful life Sonny had set up for her, and she refused to listen to reason, so he let her walk out the door. Sidwell assures Marco that this is not his fault, and they both know Sonny is responsible for his mother's death. He claims Natalia sealed her face by striking a deal with Sonny, and he was not about to let her ruin his life. Has Christina seen the light? Alexis and Christina are enjoying a movie night at home. Christina is astounded by her mother's kindness to her, considering what she did to Rick and Liz. Alexis realizes that the pressure she was under broke her, and while she does not condone her actions, she is doing everything she can to keep her out of prison. Christina appreciates it, but she believes she succumbed to the blackmail for Molly's sake, so she has no idea what she did to her father. Alexis says that she did it for both of them. Christina believes she went too far this time and altered her mother's perception of her in ways she will never recover from. Alexis only sees her kid, whom she adores, and nothing will change it. Christina vows to get them out of the mess. Alexis adds, "Here's hoping your plan works and Rick and Ava pursue each other." Will Liz and Rick reconcile? Liz and Portia have gathered at the Metro Court pool to watch the fireworks display. Liz was astonished that her pal didn't have arrangements with Curtis. Rick arrives and says he didn't think his evening could get much better. Liz anticipated him to join Ava, but Rick says she is working on her exhibit. Rick has 2 tickets to the orchestra and invites Liz because it is a special Gershwin concert and he is her favorite. Rick receives a call and informs Liz that he must leave and that she should inform him about the symphony. Portia tells Liz that whoever was on the phone needed to get away from her. Liz says Rick is entertaining and she enjoys spending time with him, but she understands not to get engaged with him again. Portia teases, "Famous last words. Are Ava and Rick over?" Nina visits the gallery to see Ava, who is working extra on the Jules Sartor exhibit. Nina informs Ava that Willow has decided to marry Drew and destroy what little life she has left. Ava takes her turn venting, revealing that Rick has been lying to her about his whereabouts. Nina claims she deserves better than Rick, but Ava refuses to let go of him since he's exciting and sexy. Nina needs to leave to meet Willow for a drink, and she is making the most of Drew's visit to DC. The only positive aspect of this marriage is that she is planning the wedding with her, something she has always wanted to do with her daughter. But marrying Drew remains a mistake. Later, Rick shows up and confronts Ava about their overdrawn funds. Ava says she needs fresh lighting for her presentation. He says if she doesn't stop spending money she doesn't have, they'll be enjoying Pentonville's illumination. Ava adds if anyone questions about her money, she'll tell them she sold a rare item. Rick assures her that they are in this together, but she claims she hardly sees him anymore because he travels back and forth to Beecher's Corner so frequently. She persuades Rick to lie and say that's where he's been, and she confronts him about knowing he's been seeing Liz. Rick admits he stole her juice while her leg was in a cast and didn't inform Ava because he knew she'd react like she is now. She wonders whether he's finished because she has stuff to do. Cody shows up to hang the artwork for Ava. Rick realizes he's been assisting Ava a lot, especially after hours. Rick goes away after telling Ava that he'll see her at the concert tomorrow. Cody tells Ava that he is hers now, so where does she want him? As they work on measuring and hanging paintings, Cody seizes the opportunity to kiss Ava. Nina returns to the pool to meet with Willow, but Liz and Portia say they haven't seen her. Nina walks away, and Liz realizes she never informed Portia that Lucky proposed before he left town, and she declined. Nina sits at a table and receives a text from Willow informing her that she is caught in traffic. She eventually arrives, and Nina asks what road she took because she had no trouble getting here. Who took baby Daisy? Felicia meets Mac at the station to go out to dinner together. She sees Molly and expresses her relief that Christina has been freed. Molly is relieved as well, and thanks Cody for helping her stay together that night. Mac mentions that his son is a wonderful guy who is single. Suddenly, an officer interrupts to inform Mac of a probable kid abduction. When Olivia and Ned return to the Quartermaine mansion, they discover that Daisy has been kidnapped. Michael has already contacted the police, and Ned and Michael begin searching the house while Olivia attempts to soothe Sasha. Chase arrives to question Michael and Sasha. Michael admits he removed the nanny cam after what occurred to Willow and Drew. Sasha tells Chase about all the strange things that have happened to Daisy. Olivia discovers Daisy back in her bassinet in the living room. Michael and Sasha hurry towards her. Sasha claims this is the first place she looked, and she has no idea what is going on. The men decide to investigate the grounds, and Olivia explains to Sasha that she could simply be weary. Sasha claims it's not hormones, and she wouldn't misplace her kid. Chase later notifies everyone that no one is on the estate, and there is no evidence of forced entry. In the foyer, Olivia speaks with Michael and argues that this could be postpartum, and that early care is essential. He praises her for the advice. Ned and Oliva proceed to bed. Back at the station, Felicia tells Molly that she hopes Mac did not get to her, and he wants everyone to know how wonderful Cody is. Mac returns and announces that the baby has been located, after which he proposes they all go out to supper, including Cody. Molly thanks him for the invitation, but she's currently preoccupied with work. Molly leaves and Felicia warns Mac not to force Molly and Cody together. Mac believes Molly is exactly what Cody needs. Someone to keep him accountable and on track. Rick knocks on Alexis' door and says they need to talk about business. That's when he notices Christina seated on the couch. The text reads, "Subscribe to SOAP's General Hospital newsletter. Get breaking news alerts, daily recaps, exclusive interviews, and spoilers delivered straight to your inbox. https://cloudemailsoaps.com/sign up in the show's final moments at the pool. Liz tells Portia that she's noticed she's spent more time at the hospital lately and inquires about her and Curtis' problems. Portia believes that all relationships face challenges. What matters is how you deal with them, and she has always been a fighter. At Windermere, Sidwell informs Marco that Natalia discovered Sonny's heart issue and informed him in secret. Sonny must have realized and felt betrayed. Marco claims Sonny cannot get away with this. Sidwell claims he won't, and he'll make certain of it. Marco answers, "No, we'll make sure of it." At Alexis, Christina swiftly informs Rick that Molly is not present, and Alexis suggests Rick text her. Rick says he'll do it and walks away. Alexis was afraid Christina would turn on him, but Christina admits she knows keeping Rick and Ava in the dark might work in her favor. She smiles and says, "See, I have learned a lesson." Cody asks Ava whether that kiss was appropriate in the gallery. She describes it as a wonderful good kiss. However, she says it won't happen again, and Cody apologizes for misreading the indications. It was wishful thinking on his part. He believes he should leave, but she insists they continue to work without further misunderstandings. Cody agrees and goes back to work. Outside her home, Jason informs Lulu that Rocco has contacted her with inquiries concerning Britt. He assured him that, in his experience, she was a wonderful person. Lulu is upset and wonders how he could say that. Jason told Rocco the truth, but Lulu claims she told him his truth. Jason insists it doesn't make it wrong, but Lulu tells him he has no idea how much suffering Britt caused back then. Gio at the boathouse can't believe LYNE wanted to damage Lulu with his brother. LYNE claims she did not intend to hurt Rocco, but Gio does not believe her. He now realizes that walking away from her was the proper thing to do, and he never should have come here tonight. He will not make that mistake again. In the Q's living room, Sasha requests that Michael take the crib into her room. Michael says he will, and he discreetly informs Chase that he will have a security sweep look for signs of a break-in. Chase suggests that Sasha may be hallucinating, and Daisy may be in danger from her own mother. Willow admits to Nina that she was on the phone with Drew and had lost count of time. Willow reflects on where she truly was. "We saw her take Daisy for a short walk. She told the girl, 'Your mommy betrayed me, and your daddy won't let me see my children, so I'll show them how it feels to have your child taken from you.'" On the next episode of General Hospital, Sasha cries, "You think I'm crazy, don't you?" Jordan tells Curtis that she needs to do the right thing and leave his life. Rick asks Liz what she plans to do tonight. Drew informs Kai that he has a strategy and hopes it succeeds. Carly confronts Willow. "Michael informed me what you did, and you're not going to get away with it." Sonny warns Jason, "If you come after my child, your child will pay." Tuesday, July 8, 2025. Willow has been taking Daisy and gaslighting Sasha. Cody makes his move on Ava, and Macro and his father will work together to get Sonny his, while Jason informs Rocco about Britt. At home, Sasha discovers Daisy has vanished from the nursery. She rushes downstairs in a panic, but the baby is also missing from the bassinet. She hurries outside and informs Michael that the baby has gone missing. Michael learns that the baby is missing. At the boathouse, Lulu smacks BLQ in the face and refers to her as the same lying backstabber she always has been. BLQ defends herself. It was nothing compared to what Lulu accomplished. She tells her that Rocco found the file. BLQ's mouth opens in shock. He was not supposed to find it. Lulu claims she planned to tell Rocco the truth, but life has been complicated. BLQ reminds her of what she did to Gio and accuses her of hypocrisy. They debate about who is the cruelest, and BLQ claims it was public record. She broke into Martin's files and revealed material she had no legal right to know. Lulu cries. BLQ had no right. They go back and forth until Gio appears. "Stop it," he shouts. Lulu tells him what LYNE done. They argue and Lulu claims she will never forgive her. She stomps away and BLQ claims that nothing she said was genuine, and she had no intention of hurting Rocco. Gio sneers. He's mad. What was the goal of all this? He believes he was correct not to have her in his life. Jason discovers Rocco at home. He asks Jason to tell him everything about Britt. He shows Jason the birth certificate and explains that he knows Britt stole the embryo and gave birth to him. Jason was not in town, but he liked Britt. Rocco asks what she was like. Jason claims she's done some awful things, but she has changed. Rocco claims that without her, he would not have been born. Jason claims his parents love him. Britt was upset recalling what happened, and she claims he transformed her. She was startled by how much she adored Rocco. She was aware that what she had done was wrong, and was devastated to have to let him go. Jason believes she would be impressed with who Rocco has become. Jason takes off and meets Lulu outside. He explains why Rocco summoned him over. When Lulu discovers he declared Britt a good person, she yells, and he says this is what Rocco needed. He goes. Marco informs his father in Sidwell's home on Spoon Island that his mother's death has been ruled unintentional. Neither believe it is true. Marco blames himself. They discuss Natalia's new life with Sunny, but they believe she is a liability to him. Sidwell claims Sunny is to blame for her death. He would not let Natalia cause him difficulties again. Father and son promise not to let Sunny get away with this. At home, Alexis discovers Christina looking into space. She's thinking about how good her mother is to her. Alexis claims she's gone through a lot. It was all too much for her, pushing her to her breaking point. Chrissy understands that this does not make the situation any better. Alexis does not condone it, but she loves her daughter. They talk about how excellent Molly is with Cody, and how she brings out the best in him. They hope Rick and Ava will implode. When Rick interrupts them at Metro Court, Liz and Portia are relieved that they were able to take a break from work to watch the fireworks together. They discuss the Joel Sartor opening, and Rick invites Elizabeth to the symphony next week. It's Gershwin. She adores Gershwin. He receives a call and accepts it while Liz apologizes to Portia. She simply wants to spend time with her pal. Rick returns. He has to run, and Liz looks guilty after he leaves. Portia inquires about Rick. Liz enjoys being with him but feels it is necessary to dissuade him. Portia can see Rick was simply doing his duty by releasing Heather Weber. Nina is taken aback when she arrives at Jerome Gallery to find the walls blank. Isn't Joel Sartor opening tomorrow? Ava is aware that she is cutting it close. She is trying to get the new lighting installed. Nina tries to help but Ava declines. They talk about Nina postponing Willow in the hopes that she doesn't marry Drew. Ava informs her about the morning of the divorce hearing. He was with Elizabeth, she continues, implying that he didn't give his best throughout the hearing. Nina encourages her to dump him if he cheats, but Ava refuses. He's entertaining and sexy, and they usually work well together. Nina rushes to get cocktails with Willow while Drew is in D.C. Rick arrives and surprises her. According to the Cayman Islands bank manager, 2 of the funds were overdrawn. Ava claims she needed the money for lighting. He describes it as better than the lights in Pentonville, where they will be if she continues to toss money around. She turns on him, telling him that Laura saw him at Liz's apartment. She lied to him. Rick brought her juice. She accepts that but not his falsehoods. He barks again about her stealing money, and she kicks him out. Cody appears carrying his tools. He reveals that Ava hired him to hang shelves. He leaves as Rick says he'll see her at the performance tomorrow. Cody gets begun. As they work, Cody moves in to kiss Ava. She responds. She backs up and he asks if that's okay. She says that was a great kiss but it can't happen again. He apologizes for misinterpreting her. She tells him they can still work together. General Hospital teasers indicate that a preview clip has been released for the week of July 7, 2025. Someone kidnapped Daisy Gilmore Corinthos. Natalia Ramirez's autopsy results are in. Additionally, Marco Rios turns to Jen Sidwell. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap show. Natalia Ramirez's autopsy results. Let us start with Sunny Corinthos and Laura Collins. Laura sits in the interview room at the police station, while Sunny stands behind the mayor. Anna Devane carries a file folder and declares she has the autopsy results. Of course, she's alluding to Natalia's death. The expression on Anna's face is apparent. Natalia's autopsy revealed that her overdose was most likely not accidental. However, Sunny is not guilty, at least for this crime. However, someone clearly intended to end Natalia's life. Now that we know about Sunny's dubious investments in deception, there are several possible outcomes for this narrative. Sunny vowed that everything would be clean, and he seemed to mean it. So it's evident that Sunny is being set up in multiple ways. Lulu Spencer's slapfest is over, and she informs Dante Falconeri what has transpired. Lulu claims that LYNE Quartermain arrived for their son. Then, in another scenario, Lulu confronts BLQ. The blonde finishes up slapping LYNE. Marco Rios Revenge General Hospital spoilers for the week of July 7 state that Marco has learned of his mother's autopsy results. The lawyer then rushes to his father to seek vengeance. Marco claims that Sonny cannot get away with this. That is when Sidwell tells his son that Sonny will not get away with anything. General Hospital spoilers. Was Cody's kiss with Ava genuine? Or was it a strategic move by Christina? The stunning peek also shows Sasha making a terrifying discovery. The mother informs Michael Corinthos that their daughter has been taken. Fans are aware that someone was fooling about with Daisy's nursery. Sasha relayed it to Cody Bell, but he did not appear concerned. But now that Daisy is missing, there will be a rush to save the tiny child. Who might have abducted the newborn and why? Is it Willow Tate, who just lost custody of her own children, Wiley and Amelia Corinthos? Could it be someone unexpected? Daisy had vanished without a trace, and the resulting silence was more horrifying than any cry could have been. Her friends in Port Charles became concerned when she missed her shift at the hospital and did not respond to phone calls or texts. People imagined she had left town again, as she had done previously when seeking spiritual clarity or a fresh start. This time, though, things were different. Her residence revealed traces of a scuffle, a smashed vase near the entrance, a twisted key remaining in the lock, and her handbag left on the couch were all warning signs that something bad had happened. The police opened an investigation, but leads were few. Jordan worked with Curtis, knowing that his PI instincts would kick in when the department was restricted by policy. Daisy was never the most well-connected individual in town, which made her disappearance even more dangerous. However, people who knew her noted how she had attempted to walk a straighter path in recent months. Her membership with Shiloh's cult had long tarnished her reputation, but she had just begun helping at the crisis center and reconnecting with people like Willow and Christina. Daisy, on the other hand, seemed to be constantly in trouble. A week after she went missing, an autopsy report surfaced that appeared unrelated, but was more intimately linked than anyone could have predicted. A man's body had washed up near the docks, battered and soggy. He had no identification, just a faded tattoo and a solitary dog tag bearing the name E. Marconi. According to the results, the cause of death was not drowning, but blunt force trauma to the skull, possibly given before the guy even entered the water. That person turned out to be Marco Marconi's cousin, Elias. Elias had operated under the radar for years, doing little chores for the Marconi syndicate, but he had recently developed a stronger public interest in someone in Port Charles named Daisy. Security footage eventually caught Elias visiting Daisy outside the hospital 2 days before she vanished. Witnesses reported seeing him tail her car after she left that night. Marco was devastated and infuriated. The autopsy confirmed his cousin's death but did not explain why. But Marco had his suspicions. He didn't believe Daisy was responsible for the murder. In fact, he suspected she had seen something she shouldn't have. He started his own investigation, traveling via the underground channels in Port Charles and asking questions that made even Sonny Corinthos nervous. Sonny attempted to warn him off. The truce between their families was shaky at best, and Marco stirring things up in Port Charles could set off a terrible chain reaction. But Marco wasn't listening. This was a personal matter for him, not about power or turf. Elias was a family member. Daisy, whether she realized it or not, was caught in the crossfire. Daisy, however, remained absent. And when Curtis and Jordan probed deeper into her past, they saw how vulnerable she had made herself. A diary discovered in her apartment, hidden beneath the floorboards, revealed that she had been in communication with someone she simply referred to as L. She wrote cryptically about being afraid for her safety, about someone monitoring her as she walked to her car or waited at bus stations. In her final note she stated, "If anything happens to me, it's because of what I saw at Pier 57. Pier 57 had long been a hotspot of shady dealings, ranging from illegal cargo to mob-related activity. Daisy's unintentional presence there at the wrong time may have made her a target." In a startling twist, Spinelli discovered GPS data from Daisy's ride-sharing app, suggesting that she had never returned home the night she went missing. Instead, Her position had been redirected to a warehouse on the outskirts of town, held by a shell firm related to the Marconi family, even though Marco swore he had never authorized the use of that facility. Jason Morgan, who had just returned to town and was skeptical of the coincidences, began shadowing Marco himself. Jason understood better than anybody that retribution combined with grief could drive men to commit the unspeakable. Marco, despite his claim of innocence, had become more unpredictable. But then Daisy reappeared, bruised and afraid but alive. She came into General Hospital late one night, muttering about a locked chamber, a tight escape, and a man who resembled Elias but was not him. Her story was disjointed and definitely disturbed, but one thing was certain. She had been imprisoned against her will. She recalled being sedated, waking up in the dark, and hearing voices discussing eliminating liabilities. Christina remained with her, gradually eliciting additional information. Daisy described how she followed Elias after fearing he was stalking her. She watched a meeting on the docks, where Elias handed over a hard drive to a third man, who had a significant scar across his cheek. Moments later, gunfire rang out and Elias collapsed. The man with the scar noticed her and chased her down. That's when everything turned black. The manhunt intensified. Whoever ordered Elias's death and Daisy's kidnapping was still out there. And it wasn't Marco. When Marco told Sonny about Daisy's story, something changed. Sonny had always been protective of Port Charles, but this came too close. A rogue operator working under both of their noses? That threatened not only their reputations, but also the town's stability. Despite all obstacles, Marco and Sonny established a temporary partnership. Jason and Spinelli began tracking the hard drive Elias had handed them, which was reported to hold devastating proof concerning illegal trade routes linked to international arms dealing. The Marconis may have dabbled in crime, but not with such high stakes. If Daisy's narrative was correct, Elias attempted to flee, and he paid the price. Daisy's kidnapping was ultimately about more than what she witnessed. It was also about what she inadvertently carried. The encryption keys needed to access the files Elias had attempted to protect were stored on a flash drive buried in the lining of her purse, which her abductors overlooked. The backlash was fast and violent. The Scarface man, Lyle Crease, a former enforcer for a disbanded South American gang, was discovered dead days later, killed in an isolated cabin outside town. Nobody took responsibility. Daisy remained under surveillance and Marco returned home for the time being, pleased that his cousin's death had been avenged, but forever transformed by the reality of how far things had gotten. Sonny strengthened security around his activities, no longer trusting the truce that had kept Port Charles from devolving into full-fledged war. And Daisy? She stayed in the hospital for a bit longer, recuperating from wounds that no scan could discover, and wondering how long it would be before the shadows returned again.